Patch number 1 is finally out on all consoles for Star Wars Battlefront the Classic Collection, and with it comes a ton of new fixes, as well as unfortunately some new bugs. But is it too little too late? That's the question, as the player count has really been dwindling down. But we do have some new statements from Aspyr to go through, as well as an update on another Star Wars game that some of you might care about and some of you might not. So we're now roughly 2 weeks after the launch of the game and 10 days since the patch actually arrived on PC. And I think it's kind of crazy that console users have to wait for so long for the patch, but I don't think that's down to Aspyr, but more has to do with the way that patches are being approved on third-party platforms, which is why the Switch, Xbox and PlayStation patch had to wait all the way until today, whereas the PC patch arrived almost instantly. But unfortunately, this update doesn't only bring fixes, but brings a lot of bugs too. I've already gone through the entire list of patch notes in my previous video if you're curious, but it brings a lot of big fixes like being able to invert your controls when flying, better multiplayer servers, and things like the Battlefront 1 loading screen actually working properly, as well as returning the missing cutscenes from the 501st journals. And this is the statement that they also released together with the patch today. Update 1 is available now for Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection on the Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. The multiplayer experience on dedicated servers has had ample changes behind the scenes, and players should expect a much better experience across all consoles. Also ending with, our work on Update 2 continues. I will provide more information when ready. I personally don't have the game on the console, so I can't give you my first-hand experience of trying it out, but I did give you my experience from the PC version, which felt slightly better on some multiplayer servers, but still there was a lot of rubber banding, it wasn't fluent, and yes, the original games were a little bit like that, but in short, I didn't really think that it was fun enough or fixed enough for me to even want to jump back into Battlefront Classic multiplayer. But I would really appreciate hearing from all of you console players down in the comments below what your experience today is with the actual game. I'm glad they are working on Update 2 and that they will be providing more information when ready, as we can also see on the Steam database that they have constantly been pushing out new updates behind the scenes for Battlefront Classic Collection, so chances are that we will most likely receive update number 2 on PC way before the consoles again, at which point I will of course give you an update on the game and if update 2 brings any major changes. Unfortunately, some of the initial reactions to this patch is that new bugs have been found. Server-wise, I'm not really sure. I saw multiple comments saying they still struggle to actually join servers on the consoles, but again, I can't give you my first-hand experience. But it wasn't too widespread, so I would imagine that the majority of players might actually be able to get onto the multiplayer servers properly now. But another huge bug that for some reason was introduced is the legendary medal rewards. Because in case you didn't know, once you have received the legendary status with a medal, you will always spawn with that bonus as soon as you get into a game. But apparently after this patch, that is now broken and you won't spawn with these bonuses as you are supposed to. Really weird bug that I honestly don't know why it happened, because I didn't even think the patch tweaked anything that had to do with medals, as I think they were actually working fine before the update. So don't break something that works. But oh well, hopefully it will be fixed in update 2 in a couple of weeks from now. But the crazy thing is that we're just over 2 weeks after the launch and the game seems to be completely dead already. If you look at Steam, we're down to like 300 players. The classic version, like the OG Battlefront 2, has twice as many players, and EA's Battlefront 2 has 10 times as many players, and that's even with the majority of EA's Battlefront 2's player base being on the EA app or the Epic Games, meaning that the player base is probably way bigger than what you're seeing right here. So when you put those into context, the Classic Collection is an absolute flop, and I tried to get onto some servers today, and the biggest one I could find had 8 players. 2 weeks after launch and 8 players are playing this game online and 300 players globally are playing this game right now. It's an absolute joke, and it really sucks that the game is pretty much dead on arrival. But I do want to add a big note here that I think the game is probably doing way better on the consoles. It was even on the pre-order top lists, and considering that the game wasn't available at all on PlayStation or Switch before, I would imagine that it's still quite popular there. And with the update today, the game is still left in a pretty decent state, especially when it comes to the single player content, which I think is the main thing most people want out of the classic Battlefront games. I'd really hope to at least get a little bit of an active play base on PC, but I guess I can understand why, because the classic version that was already available, if you use that with mods, it's still a way better experience than the classic collection is, which is kind of sad to be honest, and all the classic collection does right now on PC is split up this small multiplayer play base into 2. But oh well, I would still love to hear from you console players. What is the state of the game on your platforms right now, especially when it comes to server population? Lastly, I wanted to give you a quick update on Star Wars Hunters. You know, this game that they announced back in 2021 and then they delayed it, I think, 3 times now. It was 2022, 2023, and then to 2024. This is a game that to me I think will also be dead on arrival. They do actually drop a lot of cool content to the game, I have to say, but the game is still stuck in soft launch, so some main countries like the US still can't play the game. But in their latest patch notes, they actually said the following: to those of you who currently do not have access to Hunters, we want to assure you that more information is coming soon. We are so excited to welcome you to the arena where we know you will battle to gain galactic fame and glory against the most elite hunters. And again, the content they seem to be putting out to this game seems to be pretty damn good. But to be honest, if you look over like Reddit, YouTube, social media, the internet in general, there just seems to be no interest in this game. The views that videos are getting are abysmal. The interactions that Reddit posts or articles get is pretty much non-existent. So even though the game is still missing in some major countries, it's been in a soft launch for quite a while now and still seems to have gathered pretty much no active player base at all. I have a really hard time thinking that once they release this globally, it's gonna be like a huge surge of players and interest to make this game a success. I think the constant delays and absolutely abysmal release schedule has really crippled this game completely from the launch, and the fact that it is a mobile game, which is kind of like the opposite of what everyone wanted from a game like this. A game like this is basically what we all wanted on the consoles and PC, and now they dumbed it down to a mobile game instead. So yeah, I could very well be wrong here and maybe this launches and becomes a big success, but as of right now I highly doubt it. But I will say that once it's out on the Switch, I will give it a go and see what it's all about. But that's all I had for you today. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.
Thank you.